Hello everyone, my name is Jayan and today we are the 4th of May and this is the 54th video that I'm talking to a camera for 5 minutes straight. First of all, I would like to do a video update. I believe that it's a really good thing that I started this video project because after reviewing the previous 2 Casper answers that I gave while talking to the camera, I have found many things that I would like to correct, which I was already been improving in the previous videos. For example, I was not at all confident, or at least appearing confident in front of the camera for the first ever Casper practice because I wasn't sure if my answer was right. I was trying too hard to be giving the right answer, and I was reflecting and stuttering when I am talking. However, the second one was way better. I was able to be more composed, I was able to give all the answers that I want to give, and it flowed a lot much better compared to the first one. So the number one goal from now on will be to have some sort of consistency in the responses that I give. I want to start with a confident tone and highlight everything that is very important to consider in the scenario. Does not matter whether it develops well or not, I just want to highlight it. I just have to get it off my chest the first thing straight away to set a tone actually for my response. Because while listening back to the first one, I think I got 80-90% of my answer resembling to what the ChatGPT 4th quartile answer is. However, while reading the answer, it gives me a feeling of being confident, getting all of these points. But when hearing my video and my voice talking to the camera, it wasn't the case. It was more like someone that is thinking on the flow, trying to fake something, trying to fake a reaction, while I was pretty much being very honest and saying whatever that I have in my head. So I think it's this little thinking here that I have to really be careful of. My voice was very clear. The answers that I'm giving was already on point. There's nothing like red flagged, I think, in my responses. But I just have to be more confident because everybody will be saying around roughly the same thing. And if I can set the tone on the first ever sentence that I talk, then it will leave a good impression throughout the rest of my response and the rest of the scenario. I think the most important thing is to keep utilizing what I have learned while making and reviewing the previous videos, such as reducing the filler words, pronouncing every single words very clearly, and everything like this, and use it while answering those questions, despite being in a high-stake, high-pressure situation and with no time. And I think this is the hard part, so that is what I'm gonna keep on practicing for the next 5 months. So I think I have a lot of time in front of me. I'm very glad I started this 2 months ago, so it leaves me so much more time to do this. In future videos, I think the focus will be around 3 minutes of Casper scenario and 2 minutes giving a quick update just to get used to talking to the camera. Second of all, I also noticed that reading whatever is in front of my screen while talking versus looking straight into the camera really gives the viewer 2 very different vibes. So while reading the scenario, when I was looking down, it really feels like you're reading on something and it doesn't look appealing or confident at all. While I was answering directly staring in the camera, I believe that gives me a really direct visual contact, and I think it makes sense. During the test, I believe last year, I was looking down a lot. I was fidgeting quite often, a little bit nervous, looking to my iPad, looking on the screen. So I think this is something that I was actually lacking, not on the content of what I say, but the delivery was lacking. I think this is a very important aspect that I want to improve this year, and hopefully that will make the difference. Definitely now I understand a little bit more why, despite preparing so much, I still ended up in a lower quartile. Because the delivery might not be there. I was a little bit maybe more confident when I was doing the previous one. So this time, the more I think the more you know, the more hesitant you become. And if you go back on your words and everything, think too much of something, it's gonna be very messy for the listener, and it's not gonna be great for my results. So that will be my main focus this time. Try to get straight to the point, very confident, repeat the first phrase that I want to say in my head. Just give me 10 seconds repeating, and then go. Alright, so third of all, today, we have the Miami Grand Prix, which I'm gonna be watching in about 30 minutes. And also a little life update. Today was very, very, I guess, efficient. We did not dinner, but breakfast, laundry, did cleaning of my floor, everything, and dryer went out for a 20-minute run. Very happy that I was able to run at 5:30 per kilometers, while feeling at, let's say, 5-6 during the most of the run out of 10. Okay, today I actually went aboard, but it doesn't matter, I have time today, so we're gonna go for another 5 minutes on Casper after this. And now I'm doing the LinkedIn update and here filming the video, and alright, so that would be it. So despite the rest day, I think it's a pretty filled schedule, but whatever. I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so let's start with the Casper scenario now as the last thing I'm gonna do here. So the scenario is that you're a senior student in a competitive professional program. A close friend of yours, Jamie, is struggling academically and emotionally. With final evaluations approaching, Jamie confides in you that they were recently diagnosed with ADHD and are planning to apply for accommodations, but haven't officially submitted the paperwork yet. Later that week, you overheard a group of classmates complaining that Jamie is receiving special treatment because a preceptor allowed them extra time to complete a clinical test. One student says if they are not officially registered with accommodations, that is unfair. He suggests anonymously reporting it. You know, the preceptor gave Jamie more time informally because they were aware Jamie was going through something difficult, even if it's not on the record. So first question, what would you do after overhearing this conversation? After acknowledging the full situation, I believe there are two very important things to consider before acting in this scenario. First of all, I think it's the maintenance of academic integrity. For the group of students in this scenario here, I think their suspicion or hypothesis was justified, because if they see one of their peers getting a accommodation or extra time comparing to them, then for sure the questions with regard to academic integrity would be raised, and as it should. But also, we have to consider that we acknowledge that Jamie had a diagnosis of a disorder, and there should be accommodations that need to be given to help them succeed. So we definitely do not want to add even more stress to our friend Jamie. After considering all this, first thing I will do is to talk to the group of classmates and try to explain the situation that I have observed with full honesty and within a private setting. I would explain the situation that Jamie was actually having a diagnosis, and it was just the extra time that they needed to submit the paperwork, and that is the reason why the preceptor gave them the extra time. If the group of classmates still thinks that it is unfair, I will also privately talk to the preceptor and actually raise this question to suggest them to talk this question with the invigilator or with the board of directors to see if there is any arrangements that can be done, because clearly we want to first maintain the academic integrity of everybody. So if one person should not be receiving unfair or special treatment, but here we have a medical reason. So I think it is up to the board of director to take a holistic assessment of the situation before acting, before penalizing a student or to make any arrangements. Second question, how should institutions handle a situation where students are in the process of seeking accommodation but haven't completed the formal process yet? I believe it is very important to look at actually how long the formal process of documenting a diagnosis actually is. If it takes 1 month before it gets registered, well, I think definitely there has to be some temporary warning to the invigilator or the preceptor that is handling the exam, or have very specific school policies that determines whether that student should be receiving accommodations or not, despite having a medical diagnosis. However, if it's just unluck, where the process takes maybe only a few days and there's an exam right on it, I will still think about any relevant policies, but also to give the student some accommodation and have a formal explanation with the board of director and the student directly to make sure that everybody is on the same page. I will also encourage to facilitate this process as fast as possible, because this allows us to maintain a higher degree of fairness, to not penalize a student for something that they do not deserve, or for some student to abuse the system and receive extra help that they do not deserve. That is how I would handle the situation, to encourage open communication with all the rulings, policies, and the directors with the students that are in need.